Hey everyone. Hope you all are having a great evening, day, morning, wherever it is that you are joining us from. My name is Brittany and I am joined by the lovely.
Hello. I'm Amber. I'm Amber from OllivAmber's Wands. I talk about wand lore.
I am really excited to be here, Amber, especially with you because we've talked about the it was a spoiler, but it was a trailer reaction to Secrets of Dumbledore. And we said that we were going to come back here to talk about the movie entirely. So before we get into that, I do want to say hello to our friends joining us in the live chat. I want to say hi to Nick all the way from the UK. Shout out to Walking with the Woods. If you guys are into trivia, he does amazing trivia. Like, it's so much fun. Pretty competitive too. It's fun. Also, Mel from Geeking Out with Melly Mel and Christian and Michael from McDorks. Thank y'all so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And for everyone else who's joining us, feel free to drop, a hi. Feel free to drop your house pride. I mean,
yes,
both Amber and I are very proud Slytherins. So let us know in the comments or in the live chat for the win. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let us know what your house is. Drop that emoji in the chat. We would love to show off your house pride. So, Amber, how are you doing today?
I am excellent. I'm really excited to talk about this movie. We waited almost 4 years for it. I am just buzzing. I need to talk about it.
I'm 100% with you. 100% with you. Shout out to Mel once again. Thank you for dropping the links here. You're awesome in helping us out with that. And we're going to show off some house pride. Fellow Slytherin Christian of McDorks. Yes. Yes. Come through. Also, hello, Michael. Thank you so much for joining. I know he's a proud Hufflepuff. We need more puffs. We need more puffs in our lives.
All Slytherins need a puff.
I agree. And I know you feel very strongly about protecting all of our Hufflepuffs.
Yes, I do. I would do anything for Hufflepuffs.
Right. And Mel is representing the Ravenclaw house. So awesome.
Because she Ravenclawsome.
I see what you did there. That was cute. That was clever. That was very clever. Love it. Love it. So, all right, y'all. Hopefully we'll have more people joining us very soon. But in the meantime, I do want to just put this out there. We will be discussing all things from the movie Fantastic Beasts, Secrets of Dumbledore. This is your warning. Spoilers.
Bing, big spoilers. Bing. Spoiler big alert.
Spoilers alert. If you have not watched this movie yet, I would encourage you to obviously go watch it. Not during this live stream, obviously. But this is your warning that we will be spoiling pretty much everything that's in Secrets of Dumbledore. We're going to be telling Dumbledore secrets. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're just gossip girls at this point.
Totally. Yes. Yes, Christian. Spoiler alert. So, yes. And of course, we do encourage those that are participating in the live stream to send in your thoughts, send in your questions. Between Amber and I, we've got a lot of questions and discussion topics. So Mel, thank you so much for coming in and saying hello and to drop the links. She sadly has not seen the movie yet, but she is hopefully going to watch it tomorrow as she celebrates Easter. Mel, you better come through with that promise. I mean, you just got to.
Yeah. I'm going to be like awake at night with guilt. Oh, goodness.
Like, where did we go wrong?
Why?
Oh, goodness. That's great. All right. So, okay, guys. So we appreciate. Wow. Can't talk. This is real life. So I asked Amber right before we got on live, how long, she's free for. She's like, I'm here. I'm like, cool. So it might turn into a long live stream. So y'all want to maybe just take a moment, hit the restroom, go get a drink, go get a snack. It might be a long discussion, y'all, especially if we have a lot of interaction from y'all. And I'm hoping we do, because I'd definitely love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
And Christian has a question for you, Amber.
Friend, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm barely 5'4". I can't reach up there.
That's
we need to do.
That's taller than me. I'm under 5 foot.
Yeah, we have spells for that. Like, let's use some. I mean, we can do wandless magic. I mean, if we're really that desperate.
That's very true. Very, very true. So, Amber, also real quick, tell us about your channel. You actually just dropped a video today.
I did. Yes, a couple hours ago. I am Amber. My channel is called OllivAmber's Wands, a play on OllivAmber. And I do wand analysis. So I go into the cultural and historical significance of the wood and the magical creature that the cores come from, and compare all of that background information to the character themselves to see if the wand actually really does suit the witch or wizard, or if that gives us more information about their character. And there's actually a lot to learn from wands, and they are semi-sentient. I love it. I think they're really cool. And that's kind of it. My little geeky obsessing about sticks for a bit.
Oh, that's great. No, and like I said, you dropped a video earlier today. So what is that video touching on?
In honor of Secrets of Dumbledore and Fantastic Beasts, it is Gellert Grindelwald's wand. A whole analysis where we talk about because we don't know about the wood core length or flexibility of his original wand before he had possession of the Elder Wand. So I have a theory for that. So I think I found a proper wood and core and flexibility and length that really suits Gellert Grindelwald, and I talk about all of that in the video.
And I actually did watch that video earlier today, and it was very, very interesting, very fascinating. Just the look of Gellert Grindelwald's original wand.
Yeah.
So like something I would have never expected at all. Yeah, it's a really cool looking wand. So I invite everyone to, of course, head over to Amber's channel. That's OllivAmber's Wands, and check out all of her videos that she's dropped thus far on the different wands from some of our favorite characters in the wizarding world.
Thank you.
So, Lady in Red. Yeah, I was kind of feeling myself a little earlier today, you know.
Oh, yeah. We were looking a little Christmassy, I'm not gonna lie, with my green area.
Right. Well, see, so last night.
Not almost summer.
Right. I know, right? So last night I did a live with Christian or McDorks rather, and Geeking Out with Melly Mel, and I was wearing a hat, but like I guess how I was sitting, you could see like the little tower thing like right above my head. So Christian's like, "Oh, look, you have a witch's hat." I'm like, okay. So it's really funny.
That's awesome.
But anyway, so yeah. Okay, so hopefully, like I said, people will be trickling in, and hopefully we will get some more participation. So yeah, Brittany is giving me Phoenix vibes. You know, funny story about that before we dive into this. So I originally thought this shirt was a Phoenix shirt. It's actually not.
Is it not?
It's not. No, it's
a dragon.
It's the dragon, and at the very bottom, it has the silhouette of the Triwizard Cup.
Oh.
But I mean, at first glance, you would think it's a phoenix, right?
Yeah, I thought it was phoenix.
Yeah,
especially with the color scheme.
Yeah, for sure.
Puffs.
There we go. Michael showing off his puff pride. There you go. Yeah. So, thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is a cool shirt. I think I either got it from Hot Topic or Box Lunch here. One of the two. But yeah, I like the shirt, and I went to the movies earlier to rewatch Secrets of Dumbledore to get better prepared for today. So we are going to start diving into this movie. Amber, are you ready?
I am very ready.
Oh my goodness.
Where do we start?
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, we've got lots of notes, of course. We've got a lot of questions that I know we're going to do our best to touch on. Shout out to Nick from Walking with the Woods, who sent us his questions ahead of time. Bricky Hollows as well. Unfortunately, she's not able to join us tonight. She has some previous plans, but thank you so much, Bricky, because she sent a lot of questions. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So, Amber, one of the things that I kind of wanted to touch on real quick is that, of course, we have a good majority of the cast returning for this movie. You know, Eddie Redmayne, Jude Law, Ezra Miller, Dan Fogler, et cetera, et cetera. But we do have some new faces to the franchise. The biggest one, of course, is Mads Mikkelsen as Gellert Grindelwald.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that recast?
Well, we spoke about it a little bit during the trailer, but I personally kind of am a little bit in love with Mads. So I definitely think I have a weakness there because I have loved him as an actor in so many other things. He plays a spectacular villain that I cannot get over him. I love him so much. But I also grew up being so in love with Johnny Depp. I think a part of me is always going to be a little heartbroken that we don't get to see how Johnny would have done it, how he would have portrayed it. But I really did like Mads. I liked it a lot. But that's also me being admittedly biased towards my
No, and I think that's something that a lot of people can obviously relate to. Michael here said he loved Mads as Gellert. Hey, Annette, thank you so much for joining us. Glad that you've seen the movie, so you can definitely participate in this discussion because we are going to dive deep into this whole thing. So thank you so much for joining. Christian says, I like Johnny Depp, but it was hard for me to accept him in the wizarding world because he often plays animated characters. I like Mads. So I get that. So we're going to kind of, I have an order of like things that I wanted to go through, but this is fine. It's not a huge deal because one of the questions or discussion topics is about Mads Mikkelsen as Gellert and the Johnny Depp controversy. So basically, people might come at me for this unpopular opinion. I wasn't entirely impressed with Mads as Gellert Grindelwald. And this is absolutely by no means taking away his ability to be a villain, because as you said, he plays a phenomenal villain. And that's how I knew him, like in the Bond movies, right? And I'm not much of a Bond girl or anything like that. He's an excellent villain. Very, very classy, very, sophisticated, very elite. But for me personally, I didn't feel that Gellert Grindelwald is a good fit for him. And that also might play into my bias with Johnny Depp. And like I said earlier, Mads felt more elite dictator-like, whereas with Johnny, he kind of made it into his own. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with Christian that like we're used to seeing Johnny being like quite eccentric. He plays very animated characters, but like there's something about Johnny's performance in Crimes of Grindelwald that I really enjoyed seeing. So I definitely felt that Johnny's more like his Gellert Grindelwald is more of the people, whereas I felt with Mads it was a little bit more about himself versus that of the people. I don't know if
I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to me, those were the differences. But I mean, you really can't compare the two just because they're completely different actors. They're completely, different. They carry themselves differently. And so, Michael says here he played the role very well. And I saw better chemistry with him and Dumbledore. And I think that was a big deal for a lot of people, obviously, because we never did see Dumbledore interact with Grindelwald and Crimes of Grindelwald. Yeah. So how did you, what did you like or what didn't you like about the chemistry between this Grindelwald and Dumbledore?
I do see your point. I really, I do see your point about him not being much of a Grindelwald of the people and having that connection with his followers. But I agree with Michael. I really liked the chemistry he had with Jude Law's Dumbledore, because I was very much under. I know we didn't ever get to see Johnny's Grindelwald interact with Dumbledore, but to me, I never really got to. Not that I have like a lot in common with Dumbledore, but I just couldn't see what the draw for Dumbledore was to that Grindelwald. Well, the tension, the emotions, even just like the micro expressions that they might have had on their faces during all of their interactions, even when other people are talking about the other, their reactions were always so telling throughout this entire film. So like it was very clear what they felt.
Yeah.
But
no, I can see that for sure. Absolutely, for sure. And before we really get too far into this, y'all, I do want to just say, for one, thank y'all so much for, leaving your comments here in the live stream. A lot of people are like, yes, Annette, yes, Amber. Like a lot of people obviously agree with you. And I just want to kindly remind everyone, let's not come for each other on here. Everyone has different opinions. Everyone has different tastes. I'll just say it up front. This movie is not perfect. Okay. By no stretch of the imagination is it perfect. No. It has its good. It also has its bad. Yes. But let's just remember, like we all have different opinions. I think Amber, I can safely say for both of us, we're not here to try to make you change your opinion about the movie.
No.
This is just
your opinion is yours and it's valid.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's all there is to it. So like, let's just keep that in mind. I love to have the open dialogue, and just understand where everyone's coming from and just talk something that we're all passionate about, obviously. So
yes.
Firestar 1625, thank you so much for joining and sharing this comment. He Mads definitely has a much darker aura to him than Johnny Depp. I was so happy to see him play the role so well. Good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. That's awesome. So this is also where I go back to having that sort of classy, sophisticated, elite, sort of vibe about him, which is great in a villain. It's just, I guess for me, I still associate that with that of Bond. Not so much with him in the wizarding world. And that might just take some time. Now, I've seen the movie twice. I saw it earlier this afternoon just to be better prepared. Yeah. The fact that like I went into it obviously knowing nothing in the movie is going to change, obviously. But going into it, like, I mean, Mads does a great job. Don't get me wrong. I just don't feel that Grindelwald is the right fit. Like, I don't know. There's something about it. I can't put it into words eloquently enough, but I think this is that's just my take on this. So I'm going to catch up in the chat real quick, share everyone's comments. Christian says, I personally saw Johnny's version was more of being selfish and very opinionated, but Mads, I saw more of a drive and personal with his motives. See, this is where we kind of like, we're opposites on this one. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see everyone's interpretation. Yeah. Hey, Claire, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're feeling better. I know you were feeling a little sickly the last time I was on a live with in a chat. I wish they had waited for this madness trial to finish before they replaced Johnny Depp. We'll get to that in a little bit because I do have some thoughts about the Johnny Depp thing, of course. But yeah,
and the Ezra Miller stuff too.
Yes,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. We will get there. So Christian also says, I don't take the movie having to be perfect in real life. Our stories don't have perfect beginning and end. And I think we need to accept this as a story for what it is instead of what could have been done. I think that's very well put.
Yes.
Extremely well put.
Yeah. Like somebody like screenshot that and like post it everywhere. It needs to be universally acknowledged. It is
absolutely.
It's nothing in life is supposed to be perfect. Like a lot of people want it to be so well-rounded and they want all of these like intricate connections, but just because it's perfect for you individually doesn't mean it's going to be perfect for everybody else. And doesn't mean that it's going to happen that way. That's wishful thinking to think that everything's going to be perfect.
Sure. Christian says he agrees with Claire in regards to the trial of Johnny Depp and all that stuff. Annette says Grindelwald was trying to convince the voting wizard world to vote for him. He lied, he killed, and he tried to steal an election. Yep. That sounds very familiar with, throughout political history. Who's to say history does not repeat itself? Let's just be real. Yeah, are we talking? Is there a Chris in here? Did I miss out on a Chris, or do you mean Claire, Michael? Let me know. Firestar also says, I'm curious about what your guys' thoughts on the spell between Dumbledore and Grindelwald breaking. Why do you think it happened? So what we can go ahead and answer that question now, Amber. How do you, go ahead? You can answer first.
My friend, that was actually the friends group that I went to go see it with. That was her first question for me, like right out the door. She's like, why? Why did that happen? I personally think that, Dumbledore tried to explain it that he was doing an offensive, Grindelwald was doing a defense, like an offensive, like it was just their spells hit. And that is, to me, that was a loophole. Because it was inadvertently going against each other, but they weren't attacking each other, if that makes sense. So it was a loophole.
Yeah.
And to me, that magical object, it was a loophole that just was the weakest link in the chain. It just snapped it off. That's what I think. But I could be completely wrong, and they just needed it to break for any reason.
Well, right, because if you recall at the very end of Crimes of Grindelwald, when Newt hands Dumbledore the blood pact, and he asks him, can you destroy it? And Albus is like, maybe, and much obviously like how, well, not much like. Let me put it this way: Grindelwald was wanting to use Credence and his obscurial powers to defeat Dumbledore.
Yes.
Dumbledore was not going to use someone to try to defeat Grindelwald, at least in my interpretation. And I think the fact that Grindelwald was trying to kill Credence, and by that point, Credence is obviously we're going out of order of things to talk about, but Credence is being protected by Aberforth, Dumbledore, and Albus. That was the breaking point, because Gellert was trying to kill someone else and Dumbledore wanted to protect. Like you said, that's the loophole. They're not moving against one another. It's because Gellert made a decision, to try and cause harm or kill, someone else. And I mean, the magic behind that just seems to break because of your intentions. Ultimately. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like what I think. I don't know if we're ever going to get a bigger explanation than, what Albus had gave Newt about, like, he wanted to cause harm. I didn't. And Christian, you literally just took the words out of my mouth. It canceled each other's spell, which broke the vow. It canceled each other out, basically. That's the right way of putting it. By the way, sorry, I didn't realize that your family calls you Chris. I was like, Chris. Oh my goodness, Chris. That was so funny. And that says maybe it was simply not known how it could be done, and that's true.
Yeah.
Because Amber, if you recall, was the blood pact something that both Gellert Grindelwald and Albus created together? I mean, or did that already exist in the world? Because they're both equally powerful wizards.
I don't think they say.
Okay.
Like, as at least to my memory, they don't say it. I just rewatched all of the movies before seeing Secrets of Dumbledore. So to me, I don't remember any hints that I think we never really hear about it. But then also in Harry Potter, the series itself, it's in Harry's point of view. And let's face it, Harry is not that observant. Love him. He's my favorite character, but he's not observant. So
that's why he would never be in Ravenclaw. Just saying.
Exactly. Love my boy so much. He's honestly my absolute favorite character. I love him to death, but he doesn't notice things. So, and he definitely doesn't research it. So, if we're gonna ask that question, we'd ask Hermione.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. You're very welcome, Barstar. I mean, like, if you have any other questions, let us know, and we'll definitely, weigh in on that too. Oh, Michael says when the spell broke, he cried like a baby. Oh,
my friend cried.
Really?
Yeah, my friend Isaiah. He said. Well, he said that he teared up. He said he teared up twice at the movie. So, yeah.
So Christian makes a good point. The only thing I didn't understand is why the pendant and chain clinged itself to Dumbledore, but not Grindelwald. Well, remember that the blood pact had previously been in Grindelwald's possession at Crimes of Grindelwald when they're at the Père Lachaise cemetery. The Niffler, as we come to know, his name is Teddy. He took it from Grindelwald, and so at the very beginning of this movie, when Dumbledore and Gellert meet at the restaurant, Gellert says, like, let me see it, and Dumbledore shows him, the chain around his wrist and what have you, and Gellert makes the comment about, like, I sometimes feel like it's still wrapped around my neck. I had it for so many years. So I guess it might just be like whoever's in possession of it, like that's the only host that the blood pact will go to.
I think
I don't know.
At least for me too is I don't really know if this would make sense as to why it was like for Dumbledore it was like kind of digging into his skin a bit more, while for Grindelwald, he said that he could feel it around his neck, but we only see it either like loosely around his neck or clothing or in his pocket. I think part of that could be because we saw that what happens if Dumbledore were to start thinking about hurting Grindelwald and it just started like destroying him. Like it clamped down. So for me, my thought was that maybe throughout the only times that we do see Grindelwald with the blood pact, he wasn't. He had a bit more control over him trying to thwart Grindelwald. I mean Dumbledore. Like maybe, yeah. And like with the rising tensions of what was happening currently, Dumbledore was obviously having trouble doing the same thing.
Maybe. Right. Maybe, and the fact that Grindelwald had said, I felt like it's still around my neck. To me, that would suggest he had the thoughts of moving against Dumbledore, and then it would tighten it, and then because, and this shows the difference between the personalities. Obviously, Gellert wants to gain control by any means, and Albus does not want any of that power. He just he's he turned heel on someone that he loved. Spoiler. But that's just an important part of this movie to showcase the differences between these two men, and the fact that Geller's just a bad guy. Okay, Dumbledore's not so much.
No, I agree with you. I think actually he worded it perfectly, like in the comments. Like it was because Albus had more intentions to cause hurt on him and bother like the other way around.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what I was trying to say. So thank you. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And you're right, Annette. It did act like an unbreakable vow. I've heard actually a lot of people theorizing that this might have some kind of connection to it.
I never considered that.
Yeah, especially with the like how it winds up the wrist, so it's kind of like how unbreakable vows.
With the okay, now I see that. Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. A very good place to start. If y'all know that quote, what movie that quote is from, drop a comment. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so starting off with that meeting, Amber, between Dumbledore and Grindelwald. Did it make any sense to you? What were your thoughts on it?
Yes. I know I saw that before it didn't to you, which is fine. To me, at least what I took from it was that it's going to sound real weird and it might be a stretch and I might be completely crazy. Warning. I thought it was that they were this meeting wasn't a real place. Like, I thought it was very much like kind of, okay, this is gonna be crazy, but augmented reality kind of thing. Like, I thought that they were just, this is a mutual meeting place, not physically there.
Okay.
I don't think it was physical. I don't think it was actual real. I don't think it was like an imagination or a memory or anything. I think it was
a meeting of the minds.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. A meeting of the minds, because they're connecting somehow through time and space, somehow, wibbly wobbly, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think that they did that, and then the reasoning for why I thought that was because afterwards, when it just zoomed out into Dumbledore's office, it showed a tray with tea on it. And the tea, so it's kind of like, to me, I thought, okay, well, he actually is having tea, like physically in his actual body, so maybe this is just like a VR moment. I don't know, but that's at least how I saw it.
So I saw it a little different. But first and foremost, I was really confused by it. Like, even the second go around, I'm like, what is happening? What is actually happening? But Grindelwald asks Dumbledore about something along the lines of, is this a regular haunt? Now, to me, I can see where you're coming from of it being like a meeting of the minds. But, and also, I also want to clarify real fast that the course of these 3 movies have happened within a year's time, or a little over a year's time. So everything's happening really quickly, guys. So I'm curious if, let's say, this did happen in a physical, space. When did this happen? Like, did this happen shortly after the events in Paris? And at the very end of it, I kind of figured maybe Dumbledore is just reliving this memory of he met with Grindelwald at some point. Again, you still need to know when, but he couldn't convince Grindelwald to turn heel, and he's like pissed about it because he's kind of got like that look on his face when he's looking out the window and like
salty.
clutching the blood pact, and he's just like, damn it. That kind of thing.
Yeah, and it looked like it was tightening too, so showing where his mind was at.
Yes, exactly. So, and that says, to me, it was an acknowledgement that they were not going to be together, that no amount of pleading, but Albus was. And so to that, I want to say, I felt like that was kind of laying some sort of hint that, in my interpretation, and I'd love to hear everyone's opinion about this, is I felt Dumbledore very much was in love with Grindelwald. I can't confidently say Grindelwald felt the same way.
I agree with you.
So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts about this. And the reason I say that is because I think, and it goes without saying, Dumbledore has a kinder side to him as opposed to Gellert, right? And I think Gellert could potentially see that and manipulate that to fit his needs, thus making the blood pact, thus saying, in case either one of us ever turns heel, we still can't move on each other. To me, I read that as manipulation, like for someone who's in an abusive relationship kind of thing. That's just how I interpret that. And that might come from some experiences. But anyway, so that was my interpretation. What do you make of that, Amber? Like what's
I completely agree. I actually last week had a it was a little long-winded for a discussion with a coworker about this exact thing. We were talking about it, and he was very much on the side of, he thought that it was mutual. He thought that, he's like, why would Grindelwald bother unless he cared for him? I never saw it that way. I do not think that Grindelwald loved him back, at least not in
the same capacity.
Not in the same capacity. I think because we do know Grindelwald, okay, a little side note. I thought it was really weird that they made him have the sight thing from the Qilin, when even though we know that he already has a bit of foresight. So like he's a seer. We know this from Harry Potter. Like he's a seer.
Yes.
So I have zero doubts in my mind that he knew that Dumbledore was equal, if not more powerful than him. Mm-hmm. And when he started to see that Dumbledore loved him, he's like, I can use this.
Yes.
I have this little like card in my pocket. I can whip it out whenever I need to. This is my get out of jail free card. This is how I can use this guy. This is my ticket. And that's how I took it.
No, I'm with you on that. Christian, I know you are hopefully typing out your thoughts on this, because I hear you, buddy. I hear you. You're calling us lies and all that jazz. But also, I want to say hi to our new viewer. It started with Jude, who says, I think Grindelwald was in love, but eventually his greed was more prominent. That makes a lot of sense, too. I can get on board with that. Let's see what Christian says. Gellert loved Albus, but he just didn't show it. Albus was kinder and more sensitive. Gellert just didn't express it the same, and he was more taken by anger of Albus not taking the same route as him. Okay. That's solid. That's solid. That's solid. By the way, when I said lie, it was more of a joking way. I know, Christian. I know. So to that, it makes sense. It makes sense, especially when, you do invest so much of yourself into someone that you're in love with, and you make the plans to go away. They had these plans to change the world. I just think,
why would Gellert, in my friend's defense and the Christian's defense, like, why would Grindelwald go through that? Like, he wanted to rule the world. He wanted to do this before he even met Albus. So why include him? I get it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, and here's the other thing, Amber, and I don't know. I don't remember if you agree or not. I apologize. I feel like this franchise, Fantastic Beasts, really isn't about that anymore. Yeah. It's now we've shifted to that of a Dumbledore storyline, which I feel should be a separate franchise.
I agree.
Okay. Yeah.
They should be their own routes. Like, let's give me something that's just monsters and just Newt and just whatever. And then on another side, give me the Grindelwald War, whatever you want to call it.
Grindelwald War. I like that. Did Kanye not love him? Listen, we're not going to get into that right now. We're talking about this movie. That's a topic for another live stream. Okay.
Yeah.
But I do see the point that you're trying to make. In all seriousness, I do see the point that you're trying to make. Michael says, I feel like they both still loved each other. They just had different views, which sucks because things like that happen in real life.
True.
100%.
And I will say,
such a true statement.
I will say too, though, that me and my coworker had this discussion last week before we saw the movie. Actually, I don't know if we even saw it yet, but a little bit of it was disproven with this because, in the first conversation of the first scene, Dumbledore says, because I was in love with you. But then later on, he says when explaining to Newt the existence of Credence, he was like, he's like, the summer that Grindelwald and I were in love.
Yeah.
So, that sounds mutual. The wording sounds mutual. And then just like the faces and reactions and the moments that they had during their like little battle thing after the blood pact broke, or like when the blood pact broke, that little weird cloudy scene. Grindelwald's facial responses and reactions, I agree with that. Like, he certainly felt a lot more than what I had previously thought. So, I don't know.
I'm with you on that. This is too funny. You can't not show this. Oh my God, Albus and Gellert is the Wizarding World version of Johnny and Amber.
And not me, Amber, by the way.
Not this Amber. Not this Amber. We're talking about Amber Heard. and I can get on board with this this statement here. Listen, no, it's not too soon, Michael. This is absolutely like on point.
By the way, though, I saw the Amber is a total Grindelwald comment before I read the first one. Yeah. That like the comparison to Johnny and that Amber. Oh my gosh. So I was just like, how?
I mean, right.
Like, what did I do? How am I Gellert?
Oh my gosh. So Annette says changing the world is such a monumental and dangerous undertaking. To agree to this, even when you're young, is a commitment of such power and heart. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Yeah. For sure. And then when you kind of try to mask this by saying this is for the greater good, that's a very vague interpretation of what is the greater good. So yeah. So Corey, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi. Corey's my editor and producer and agent, and just, he's my guy.
Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Yes. Thank you for being here.
I love you very much.
Please weigh in. Corey, if you've seen the movie, please weigh in on what we're talking about.
I actually don't think he's finished all the Harry Potter films.
Blasphemy.
Well, yeah, most of his Harry Potter knowledge comes from, editing my videos.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's funny.
But let me moving on. Finish them or not.
Moving on, and I'm going to share my screen real fast. So Newt is in the jungles, or not in the jungles, but he's in China, I believe, looking for this fantastic beast known as the Qilin. The lore behind the Qilin, real quick, I just want to share, is that it's also considered like a Chinese unicorn. And it's a mythical beast that symbolizes good luck and prosperity. So according to traditions in China, Korea, and Japan, a Qilin would appear to signal the birth or death of a particularly benevolent ruler or sage scholar, which that ended up kind of being true in this storyline. So my question is, how the hell were Newt and Credence in the same location at the same time when these Qilins were about to be born? I mean, does that make any sense?
Idea.
No idea.
Giving them benefit of the doubt to Newt, but nothing to Credence. Like, has Newt been like watching them from afar? Did he know? Like, has he known for a while? Like that this beast is like, oh, she usually is in this territory, and we know she's pregnant, so I'm gonna keep checking in. Yeah, and just conveniently happen to be there.
And they're rare. And they're rare, apparently. So it's like, well, okay. And while on the topic of the Qilin, because I think it's sorry, I got sidetracked. Yes, Christian, I can totally see that. I have been crushing on Newt, but for some reason my eyes are focusing on Theseus. Listen, either one of these guys are very easy on the eyes. Just saying.
But currently in this photo, I just love Pickett. Like, I just
Pickett. On that note of Pickett, I have to acknowledge that these fantastic beasts, Pickett, the Teddy, who's the Niffler, I feel like they gave them a lot more character or a lot more personality in this movie, especially in the Erkstag scenes, which we'll get to eventually. But like, I just think it was adorable. I loved seeing just, the interactions, but the little noises that they make. I don't know. It's really cute. Yeah. But going back to the Qilin.
Yes.
The Qilin is, this was more my question, because it seemed like Gellert was having maybe second thoughts before he killed the Qilin. Did you get that vibe? Okay.
I felt it too. Like I knew what was coming, and obviously he did too.
Yeah.
Like you could sense it. You could sense it that something was not great going to happen to this poor little thing. But so I knew he was going to do something terrible like that. And it's kind of, I remember seeing a review when the second movie came out for Crimes of Grindelwald, that to show that something is a villain and to show that you are not supposed to like or trust this person, show them doing harm to an animal. That will make the audience immediately not care for them. And they already did that in the second one, like how he threw the chupacabra. What did he name it? Antonio.
Antonio.
Yeah. He named it Antonio, and he like was like soothing it as it was like loving on him, and then he just threw it out. Yeah, that's a desert creature. It shouldn't be in water. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, so they already did that in the second movie, so I feel like that was just kind of a reiteration of this by showing that, like, this is obviously a pure and gentle creature, much like a unicorn, obviously.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so it's so much like a unicorn that it kind of just draws back to, it makes allusions to that way of showing that this person is bad, while also showing us, for the magical people, that he hurt a unicorn equivalent, which curse life, half life, what have you.
Yes. I'm glad you said that, because I know I made that point in the notes later on.
Yes.
But that's exactly what it is. Considering the importance and the significance of this creature in the wizarding world, and for it to be the most, like, the purest creature in the wizarding world. Because I at the end of the movie too, I wondered, like, well, why isn't Gellert, like, attempting to kill the twin? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, no, this is like basically a sacred animal. You know, this is very important. So yeah, I was just really curious, like, maybe Gellert is having second thoughts, and it's like, nope, he's a dick. He's gonna do it.
Yeah, and I mean, that could be why Newt would, like how they were saying in the comments, that could be why Newt was watching them, because they are rare. We know that, and obviously by now the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them novel, like, I mean, textbook, whatever, is actually, it's already published. It's already a thing. He's already famous for this and his magizoology, and the only magizoologist at this moment, other than Munty. But so he is known worldwide now. And I wouldn't be surprised if the wizarding world of China were just like, hey, we have this magical creature. It is endangered.
Yes.
Help us. Because he's already been proven to help endangered creatures before, like the Griphorns that were the last mating pair in the first movie. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he was watching the Qilin mother, but I don't know.
Yeah. And the fact that, like, the mother was killed, which was curious, because obviously it was the killing curse that struck her twice, and it didn't take her out immediately like it did Cedric. Sorry.
Yeah, like, is that anything to do with the fact that, for one, it's a magical beast, and then two, it's a, like, such a pure creature?
I don't know. I thought maybe, like, because it almost seemed like she almost had armor type, like, on her body, you know, when Newt had, you know, his hands on her and trying to, like, help, you know, with her pregnancy. I don't know. Yeah, that was curious to me, but very, very sad, of course, you know, to see her take her final breath, the tear shed.
Yeah, I actually was, like, super upset about it. I was shook.
Yeah.
I was, like, mortified. Like, my my boyfriend, like, looked over at me, and I'm just like completely gutted.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got a text and I'm listening to you, and I'm, like, trying to do 3 things at once. Yes, I did say Dedrick. No shame in that. Christian thinks it survived because of the love for her children. She fought through it to give birth to the second one. I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I can see that. That's actually beautiful, and that makes me sadder.
I can get behind that. I can get behind that. Yeah, it was really sad when the mom died, of course. Very, very sad. Yep. Moving on to these mirrors. The mirrors that seem to connect Credence and Aberforth. How?
I have problems with it. I have so many problems.
Please share your thoughts.
Well, I feel like they wanted, or because we know that JK wrote the script again, like how she does with how she did with the past 2 movies. Is this her trying to, like, do it how that's how he communicated with Harry, like with the glass shard, like with the 2-way mirror kind of thing that Sirius had given him? Like, is that what she was trying to do? Like,
perhaps, but the real big question is, how did Credence get in touch with Aberforth? Like, how did they first of all make their connection? Like, could Gellert have helped in some kind of fashion? I'm like,
would he have?
would he? And
because yeah,
it to me, that's this again, this movie is not perfect. This is one of those imperfect points that I wanted to share. Because obviously Albus didn't know about Credence having been told he's a Dumbledore. I don't think at that point. I'm not sure. But
Aberforth seemed to know.
Yeah, Aberforth seemed to have some inclination. So it was very, very odd. It was kind of creepy too, just to see like, you know, writing pop up on the mirrors, like, do you know what it's like to be alone? And I'm like, I don't think I'm alone. If you're like writing me, you know, notes on here. It's almost like creepy. Chamber of Secrets vibes, you know, with the writing on the wall kind of thing.
Right. And in the book.
And in the book, yeah, exactly. So like there's a lot of callback to, you know, things like that, but it just doesn't make sense to me because it hasn't been explained. How the hell did they connect? How the hell do they each have a mirror that they can talk to?
Like, granted, this is going to be, like Annette's saying, it could be a two-way mirror. Yeah, it could be sheer dumb luck, which we might just have to use the ever easy scapegoat that all Wizarding World plot holes have is magic.
Yeah, there you go.
But
magic.
If somebody helped him, I don't think it was Gellert, because I feel like that's too much of a risk. Because if he's in contact with his actual family, they would tell him the truth. And we saw how that changed Credence's behavior throughout the rest of the film, knowing exactly where in this family he was and the circumstances of it. That changed how he felt. So that would have been too much of a risk for Grindelwald, like, because if Grindelwald helped him get in contact with them, then like why would he think that these people wouldn't tell him the truth? And I think we also have to think that there are at this point hundreds of Grindelwald acolytes. Like there are, and Queenie, like, who was definitely cared about Credence to some degree, even though he showed her quite a hostile interaction. That was a really hostile interaction, but
yeah, for sure.
She wants to help him, and others, I'm sure not all of these people are, you know, cuckoo, but like
cuckoo.
I mean, there's this kid, and if this kid is learning magic, and these are experienced, graduated adult wizards, why wouldn't he ask one of them?
Yeah. But, I can see that.
But I don't think we're ever going to get an answer to that.
No, and Christian makes a point. I think as much as we don't understand the reason why things happen is the beauty, especially that we aren't from the Wizarding world. So there are things that we don't know how or happens in between the movies. Also, I love not always understanding because we are seeing the story as an outsider. So anything is possible. That is very, very true, y'all. So I know I've got like some pictures here. Sorry if that's like distracting anyone here. Real quick, we talked about this backstage. Amber, Lally and Theseus. What's going on there?
I saw the flirtation. I saw that there was definitely something there. I guarantee you people are going to ship it. There's going to be fan fictions about it. But we know that it was less than a year ago. Lally's words, it was less than a year, like a little more than a year ago, that he met Newt, that Jacob met Newt. So that means it was even less time since Lita died. Yeah. And it just seemed to me that Newt and Theseus did not care.
Yes.
Yeah, he saw the chemistry 100%. Too. Okay, cool. We're not crazy.
No, we're not crazy. Lita who? Wow, that is too soon.
No, it's more like Nagini who.
Oh, Nagini who. Yeah, okay. Also, Abernathy, who was a follower of Grindelwald and Crimes of Grindelwald, right?
Yeah.
Where did he go, Anna? Not that he really matters. I
completely forgot about him, if I'm honest.
Not that he really matters, but I'm just curious. But anyway, I don't know wwhy, but I feel like Lita isn't dead. I'm pretty
I've heard
sure
that
she's dead.
Well, I've heard that theory, but then they kept
really.
I've heard some theories that she's in Normangard. Like, she's in Normangard. She's trapped and locked up, because we know that can function as a prison because it later on does. So I wouldn't. It would be a red herring, but they also multiple people did say, like they said with Yusuf and
she's dead.
Was it Vinda said to Grindelwald, like, you killed his sister, like,
right. Yeah,
there's so many references to her being dead.
Yeah, and I think too, because the fact that like those particular flames, that was an invention of Grindelwald's. So I don't think people are really susceptible to surviving unless you're with him, as we did witness. So I agree, Annette, that they're super cute. Theseus definitely has a type.
Oh yeah, he does.
He does. Yes, he does. And I'm here.
But I love both women too, so I'm like,
well, that's cool. I think the introduction of Lally was really nice, and this is going to kind of feed into the next question that I'm going to answer really quickly, or really soon. Because we were missing a main character from the last two movies, and that is Tina Goldstein. So why was she not in the majority of the movie? Now, I only found this out recently, doing a little bit of research. The fact that she was made head R for Mikkelsen, you would think she'd have a bigger role in this whole mission type thing, because obviously Theseus, as British head R for the British Ministry of Magic, he's there. It might be more in his jurisdiction as opposed to Tina's, but like, I feel like she still should have been a part of it. But here's the reason her role was reduced. So a couple of things, and I'm reading ahead. Christian, yes, COVID had something to do with it, but it had more to do with Catherine Waterstone's speaking out against JKR's views on trans. How do I say this appropriately? Sorry, trans people. And I'm not going to get into that. I absolutely do not want to touch that topic at all. But because of JKR's views, Catherine has made her stance, and that obviously can impact your job. And because of COVID, and because this movie was slated a year for a year delay, that gave JKR some time to rework the script, probably reducing Catherine's role. But I think maybe she's under contract to where she still has to have some kind of appearance, because I know that was the case with Johnny Depp. Like, he filmed one scene before Warner Brothers parted ways with him, and he still got paid $16 million because he has a play, or I forgot what the clause is called, but it's like either he plays the part or he doesn't. He gets paid either way.
Yeah.
So to that, I definitely would have loved to have seen Tina in the movie more, just to see her relationship with Newt blossom.
Because we do know they get married.
Exactly.
Like, we know she's not gone, or at least she can't be, unless they do another recast, which is unfavorable. But we know it can be done.
Right. So, and I think I feel like it would have been more appropriate for Tina having been involved in Queenie's return to the good side, if you will. I mean, Jacob obviously is a huge part of Queenie's life. They love each other, what have you. But I still feel like as a sister, like, you should be there for your sister, to like reach out and try to bring her back.
It shouldn't have been just Jacob worrying about Queenie. It should have been Tina and Jacob worrying about Queenie.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that her sister isn't there could have made Queenie even feel even more isolated.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's probably more or less the reason why. Now, I say probably because I don't know this for a fact. But that was just some things that I've read. So yeah, we did see, Tina's picture in Newt's case. Politics can be crap, but it's kind of interesting that you say that, Annette, because the fact that this one of the major themes in this movie is political. Corruption, do what is right, not what is easy. There's a lot of
with the Harry Potter films too. They had a lot of that too. It was just a little bit more watered down because it was a different audience.
Yeah, definitely. So, it's, and I'll just say it here and now. I don't feel that this franchise is meant for a younger audience.
Agreed.
I don't feel that the younger audience is really going to pick up on the importance of, the political themes and things like that. And some may, kids are smart these days. But I definitely don't feel it's for the younger audience. And I think what people need to remember is that this is not Harry Potter. This is not based off a children's book per se. This is something that is more mature because it's laying the foundation of what would ultimately be the big duel between Grindelwald and Dumbledore in 1945 and how Dumbledore acquires the Elder Wand. So you have to lay that foundation. And like we talked about earlier, not everything's perfect,
Nope.
and this is what, what happens in the Muggle world also happens in the wizarding world. So, politics suck a lot of the time, but that's just part of the life that we live in, and it's here, and it's it's that. So,
Real
you
quick,
could just see the corruption. Go ahead.
Yes, they get married. Their grandson is actually married to Luna, our beloved Luna.
Yes, and then they have twins.
Mm-hmm.
They have twins. So, that was. Sorry, I'm trying to block somebody on here. My goodness. So yeah, they do get married. I think it's great that that happened. And they already lost Johnny, so you're gonna cut down, Catherine's role as Tina too. Why? Why would you do that?
Yeah. Well, also, in that video that you sent me of, I'm blanking on their reaction, their username. That video of her reaction. She's saying that things that would have, I feel like, rounded it out more was that if Bunty was Tina, if that coming in with the suitcase at the end and saying no one can know everything thing, that line would have fit better if it was Tina, because it would have been oh whoa, she was actually here this whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would have been a lot. I feel like that would have been more intriguing, mentally stimulating. I feel like that would have been great.
Yeah. And it would have been a great way to reintroduce her into this movie for not having seen her, because if Dumbledore's plan was to cause confusion, and by not having a plan is the plan, you would think as head Auror for Bakusa that Tina would be involved in some way. She's, if not everyone can know everything, not even Newt. It would have made a lot more sense to have incorporated her back into the movie. But c'est la vie, this is what it is. This is what we got. What do we think about Newt being more of a leader in this movie?
I agree with your notes. I think that it is pushing him outside of his comfort zone, but I think it's doing it in a way that, because he's not taking charge, because he's not a Gryffindor. He's just not like that.
Yeah.
I think he's taking charge in a very Hufflepuff way. Hey, I have all of us together. We are staying together. We are doing this together as teamwork. That's how he leads. And I thought that was actually really cool, because we don't really see leaders like that. And we also don't really see Hufflepuffs in that kind of position, really, ever.
Right.
So I thought it was really cool. I really liked it.
Yeah, no, I think it was great, stepping out of his comfort zone. I think he found some confidence within himself, especially standing up to, Grindelwald and still being true to himself, protecting, the magical creatures that he so loves. And that's awesome. And yes, and that he is a soft-spoken leader, but I think at the same time, it still speaks volumes, it kind of like Dumbledore, Dumbledore is not here for power. Newt's not there for power. So I think it was nice to kind of see Newt in a more leadership role, because truth be told, I don't feel like this that Eddie Redmayne is the star of this franchise anymore. I kind of feel it's Jude Law at this point.
Yes.
So I think it was still nice to incorporate Newt having some sort of leadership role. Amber, I know you love wands. We had our theories about Jacob's wand. We finally got, the answer about the wand. Were you disappointed?
No. I actually, okay. Talking about wands for a second. I'm going to keep this as brief as I can, guys. I promise. There has been a lot of talk about between various wand makers about the wand being snakewood. There was at least from what I was seeing, because I was pretty non-partial about it. I was seeing that it was actually 50-50 between a lot of wand makers, the people who actually, deal with various woods and make wands. A lot of them some of them were like, oh yeah, it's 100% snakewood. It's snakewood. It's snakewood. I believe it. I feel it in my bones. Other people were more like, oh, well, snakewood is really hard to grow in that pattern in large capacities. So it's rare, if ever. So I highly doubt it actually is snakewood. That's probably just a varnish. Or it was just a whole mess of just wand makers kind of bickering amongst themselves. So I personally thought that it would make sense for snakewood because not really with Jacob. The only other snakewood wand that we know of is Salazar Slytherin's. So his wand was snakewood with a basilisk horn in it. Okay. And we know that that's buried in Ilvermorny. That's what we know. That's the only snakewood wand that we know of. But snakewood wands are actually great for healing. So just because it was Salazar's wand doesn't mean, just like all Slytherins are not evil, it doesn't mean that snakewood wands are evil just because it belonged to Salazar. Snakewood is actually great for healing, and specifically snake bites, and also for how it looks. It's supposed to have a lot of healing properties. So, the leaves of it specifically heal, like the tree that grew in Ilvermorny from Salazar's wand burial, the leaves have healing properties that the Ilvermorny students use, and it's. For Jacob, I thought that was because it's a very unique wood. It's very, like I said, it's really hard to find quality wand wood. And a fun fact is snakewood can be resistant to being pruned. It doesn't want to be you to pick its wood. So even if you do find a magical quality snakewood tree, it's probably not going to want you to pick from it anyway. It's going to be mad. So to find snakewood that works is really, really rare. And I thought that was cool because one of the wand makers I was talking to, Junker Wands, was saying that he liked the choice of snakewood because Dumbledore gave him this wand. Yes, it doesn't have a core, so it's a bit of a dummy wand, but it's there to show that Jacob is important and he is special. He is unique in his own right. He has a place here. Yeah. So that's why it was snakewood, because snakewood is a very rare wood. It's impressive. Even the students when Jacob was saying that it was made of snakewood, the students in Hogwarts were like, where did you get it? Yeah. Because they knew it was rare. Mm-hmm. So I think it was just to give a little bit of a confidence boost to Jacob from Dumbledore. For sure. Absolutely. And he had a role to play. Yes. That was more of just a prop, obviously, to protect him. And of course, Gellert Grindelwald being who he is, he foresaw the fact that Jacob was going to pull out the wand and then someone then accused Jacob of attempting to assassinate Grindelwald and everything else, just kind of ensued. There was a woman who met Jacob, and I swear to God, I was like, oh my God, this is Hepzibah Smith. I thought so too. I know IMDb credits her as Edith. I was like, well, this is unusual that someone's taking this interest, but hey, yeah, Jacob's got game. Apparently, Jacob's got game. Yeah, and for who we think Edith is, didn't they say that he was she was sitting next to, Jacob made a joke about that guy being an assassin, and it was an older guy with a big mustache.
The Norwegian Minister of Magic.
Yeah.
That was funny.
She was
he looked like Colonel Mustard.
Yes, he did.
He looked like Colonel Mustard.
He did. So she was sitting next to him, so maybe she's his wife.
I think so. Christian asks, am I the only one who thought that it was possible that Jacob would have been actually killed? No, you're not. I
had a moment of terror.
Yes, I really honestly did. I really thought that, because at the end, when Grindelwald declared war on the Muggles, that his first victim was going to be Jacob, just to like make an example out of him. I was a little surprised that he didn't use the killing curse. He used the Cruciatus curse first.
I'm very surprised at that too.
That was interesting. Yusuf Kama is also back in this movie, and his role in this kind of plan of Dumbledore's is to, tell Gellert that he's a spy. He's supposed to be a spy, but he also wants revenge in a way. And Christian actually had asked this question earlier. He says, do you think Yusuf had enough determination to get revenge on Grindelwald after his memory of his sister was taken away? What else would have pushed him so hard to finish the job? So I've had time to ponder on this question. Obviously, Amber, I'll let you ponder on it. My answer is, I definitely do think that Yusuf's drive had everything to do with avenging Lita. And it seemed like Grindelwald was just one step ahead, because if he has that gift of foresight, he probably kind of foresaw this coming. But I do understand how and why Yusuf allowed Gellert to remove the memory. One, because if you're going to say no to Grindelwald, you're probably going to die. Two, it probably would have been a sense of relief for Yusuf to not have that constantly on his mind. And I say that as someone who suffers from PTSD. There's certain things that still trigger me. And I go back and relive the event that, causes PTSD. So I think that sense of relief is probably maybe something that Dumbledore knew Grindelwald was going to do. Because think about it, Dumbledore doesn't tell you everything. He hardly ever told Harry everything. I don't think a younger version of Grindelwald was going to do the same. So I think Dumbledore knew what he was doing, but I think what ultimately pushed Yusuf to finish the job is the fact that he knew there was simply the right thing to do.
Yes.
Like that's the other theme of this movie. You do what is right, not what is easy. What could have been easy for him is to attempt to kill Grindelwald to avenge his sister, but instead, he did what Dumbledore asked of him to do, and that's how things played out. That's just my take on it. Amber, do you have any thoughts on that?
I agree with you, and like you were saying, that would be a relief for Yusuf to have those memories wiped, and I could see Dumbledore kind of anticipating that Grindelwald might do something of that nature, because it kind of makes sense. It makes sense that having that because especially since Grindelwald was told right away by Vinda that, oh, you killed his sister. So erasing the memory of that would make this guy not as much of a threat, or just kind of basically take the knife out of his hands kind of thing. And yes, like Anna saying, like, he's a fundamentally decent man. I think he's like that. Without the memory of Lita, he's still just a good person. He could see that the wrong what was happening. He could see where this was going. And just because it took out the memory of Lita doesn't mean it took out the memory of anything else that happened.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Like you were saying too, it was definitely a relief for him, because hearing Queenie describe his thoughts of how he feels every single day, pained, like every breath hurts him because of how
Grindelwald is still alive, but Lita isn't.
Yeah, like that pain that she described was very. It was heartbreaking, and I'm not surprised at all that he was like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Before we jump into what everyone in the chat has been, commenting on, the humorous side of things in this movie. I just want to point out that this dude right here, Anton Vogel, what a dick. What a dick. Yeah.
Yep.
The fact that this is so crazy too, the fact that this movie, a lot of this movie is set in Berlin. And as we know in real history, Germany has had its share of world wars. And the fact that I want to say that the duel between Dumbledore and Grindelwald is in 1945, which is at the very end of World War II, is pretty significant. And you can see obviously the corruption and the kind of level of dictatorship that was already ensuing. Because obviously Gellert had the German ministry in his back pocket. Because ultimately, I think Dumbledore has said it, fear or hate, bigotry, all those things along with charisma are the fundamentals of a dictatorship. And so Anton Vogel, F you.
Okay. Also, a little note on here that I thought was cool is I listened to a Fantastic Beasts podcast called Speak Beastie, like Speak Easy, but play on words. And apparently, while looking up doing the set design for this ministry, they based it off of the architect who worked for Hitler. His work, the architect who worked for Hitler, his blueprints and his drawings and sketches of buildings. They used a lot of that for how they depicted the Ministry of Magic, the German Ministry of Magic. So that's just a little,
I feel like that I should have known that. But it was really interesting. And that what we're so Vogel's position in the wizarding world, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, Amber, I think he's the head mugwump for the International Confederation of Wizards, because this is during an election time. Or maybe he's just the German Minister of Magic. I'm not entirely sure.
I thought he was the German Minister of Magic.
So it's possible, but the reason why I'm saying he's the head of ICW is because when Theseus is reading the Daily Prophet and they're talking about the candidates, the Brazilian candidate, and then I believe I think he's from China, the Chinese candidate. Who does the ministry stand for? Theseus is I think it's going to be Santos. He goes, but anyone is better than Vogel. So to me, that sounds like Vogel is currently in that position. He just resides in Germany.
The Harry Potter wiki lists both as his titles: the Minister and Supreme Mugwump.
There you go.
And so a little note too that I thought was funny was that because of how funny the word Supreme Mugwump sounds, I think it's kind of hilarious that they never said the title at all in the movie.
No.
Because no one can confidently say Supreme Mugwump with such intensity with that they were talking.
and I think for him as a German actor, the accent would just kind of make it sound really, really funny. I don't know.
And a lot of the times when they're talking about it, it's during these very important speeches, very charged, emotional speeches, that it's just kind of there's a lot of intensity going on here that the word Supreme Mugwump probably would have messed with the flow. And so every single time that they were talking about the position as head of the International Confederation of Wizards, every time I was kind of giggling to myself. I'm like, just say Supreme Mugwump. Just say it.
Right. All right, y'all. You guys have asked for it. We're going to talk about the scene in Erskak. I can't say that word. Which is the place where Theseus has been taken from, the dinner thing. He's being held, and Newt is on a rescue mission. The question here is actually, do you think this was a time filler? And what are your thoughts about the corpses that were being thrown back by the Beast? Now, first of all, I think the Beast is a Manticore.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken. So I've got a picture of a Manticore on here for y'all to familiarize yourself. This is actually the Manticore illustration from Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
That's why it's familiar.
Yeah. I
I
know.
was like, I think I've seen that Manticore.
This is from the movie The Sea of Monsters. This is anyway, this is what I can pull up. Anyway, but you notice that this tail back here, has that kind of scorpion like, vibe to it. And we never obviously see the Manticore in its entirety, but that thing is vicious. I don't think it was necessarily a time filler. I think it was it goes back to that whole political corruption. Theseus is who he is, head Auror of the British Ministry of Magic, but they don't care who he is. He's not with the majority, and therefore we're going to put you away. So I also think it was important to show that not all fantastic beasts are good or cuddly or cute like the Qilin is. Some fantastic beasts are lethal, right?
Yes.
But obviously what the people want to talk about is the swivel.
Crabs.
The fire crabs, the swivel, Newt doing, the kind of thing.
I am not a dancer. I'm not going to be able to do it.
That was great. I mean,
it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. It was wonderful. Yeah. And the brotherly banter too. Like, I kind of liked that because it felt very much more like, oh yeah, these guys are brothers. They're brothers. For sure. Like, you're not swiveling right. And I'm swiveling just like you. Like, it was, I kind of like that a little bit because that kind of showed, oh yeah, these guys are brothers, which we didn't really get in the second movie.
And I'm glad you said that because I also wanted to kind of quickly point out the dynamic difference between the Scamander brothers and the Dumbledore brothers. How the Scamander brothers have gotten a little bit closer since, the events in Paris, because Newt had said, I've chosen my side, standing with his brother Theseus. And then there's still that disconnect between Albus and Aberforth because of the history of what happened with Ariana and things like that. So, yes, Christian, going back to the swivel, I did see it on Jimmy Fallon. I shared it on my Instagram stories. Also, by the way, y'all, if you've enjoyed this live stream thus far, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel as well as Amber's, that information is down below. And also don't forget to follow us on Instagram if you're on there. We really appreciate it. We thank you for your time already. We're at an hour 22 and we're still not done talking about this movie.
Nope.
But yes, I did see this on Jimmy Fallon. I absolutely love Eddie Redmayne.
I was dying. I was weeping. The cackling noises that were coming out of my mouth was a little ridiculous. I do think it's kind of funny and kind of weird. On the Wizarding World, like their official, Instagram and TikToks or whatever. Yeah. They've been doing clips of the movies, to promote it. And every time they're doing it, they're calling it the Manticore dance. When shouldn't it be the fire crab dance?
It should be the fire crab dance.
Yeah, like I'm 100%. Over here, like people, because my friend group were like, well, and they're like, oh, the Manticores were so cute. The Manticores were so cute because they had seen that video. And I'm like, do you mean the fire crabs? Yeah. And like, and also with the Manticore, we do see a tiny little glimpse of his face when it was trying to, eat Theseus. And it did look a lot more scorpion-like. So, but it is a Manticore. Like, it's still a Manticore. Yeah. And I think they had to go with less of a lion look to the Manticore because how they already presented how they look in... because in Hagrid's ride, because in the books we see blasted Scroots, which are Hagrid made using fire crabs and manticores. Yes. So he merged them to make the blasted Scroot. The blasted Scroot, we don't see them in the movies, but we do see them in the Hagrid's motorbike ride. So I think to get that shape that they designed for that ride, we had to have this thing look more like a scorpion. So this thing could exist. Yeah.
And let me just say, Eddie, not that he's ever going to see this, whatever. You can sway them hips, okay? Like, I get it.
Oh, yes, you can.
Yes, you can. I've also shared a story about someone else on Instagram had put Genuine's Pony as the music, as Newt is swiveling, and it's just perfection. Perfection.
Yes.
It's just so like
it's
so
a hilarious dance, and I liked that they did it because it kind of calls back to the first movie with the Rumpet dance, and it calls back to that because they kind of tried to show he did stuff like that often with the Zawu, with the little swivel
with
thing.
the little rattle.
Yeah, so it's like, I think it was a cat toy. I don't even know, but like I see that they tried to do it in the second movie, and maybe people didn't care for the Zawu as interaction as much as they did for the Rumpet dance, because the Rumpet dance was hilarious.
Yeah.
So I can see why they did this, and I think it's great. I absolutely love it. But I love the Zawu, so it's kind of, I love all his interactions with these animals.
Yeah, for sure.
They're wonderful.
One of the also main storylines too is obviously, because this movie is called Secrets of Dumbledore, we had learned in Crimes of Grindelwald that Credence is a Dumbledore and his name is Aurelius. So the question is, did you expect what the story ended up being, and how do you feel about it? So it never dawned on me, the idea of Credence being an illegitimate son of Aberforth's, because you're so focused on Albus, right? You're so focused on Albus. You kind of forget about Aberforth. And so originally my theory about Credence being a Dumbledore was that his body was playing host to Ariana's obscurial after she died. Because we know that an obscurial cannot exist without a host. So I kind of liken it to that of the Horcrux that was made within Harry after Voldemort had attempted to kill him, and it rebounded. So to me, it now obviously makes sense about how the summer that Dumbledore fell in love with Gellert was the same summer that Aberforth fell in love with a woman, and then she was sent away because she was with child. And it's such a simple explanation, which should have been quite obvious, but I think I was really wanting it to be something more than what it ended up being. But it now makes sense with the story that Lita had shared about, being on the boat and swapping the babies and that kind of thing. So that got tied. Those loose ends were tied, which I was actually very happy about. Go ahead.
Oh, I agree with that. I like how they tied it up. They made that, they cleaned that confusion, and I like that. I agree with you. I thought he was a host for Ariana's Obscurus, especially because, to me, why did they include Nicholas Flamel in the second movie, if not to show the Philosopher's Stone, which can provide life? That's why Voldemort was going after it in the first place. It can provide him into the body again. So why do that? And then also, like, with the clever notes that Aurelius means golden, Ariana means silver, and the Philosopher's Stone can turn any metal into gold. Like, there were so many connections that were like, oh, that would have been brilliant.
Yeah, I agree.
I can see, I'm not mad about how they did it. I'm just, to me, I feel like I loved Nicholas Flamel, love his wand, but I like Nicholas Flamel a lot. I feel like now I'm a little like, okay, well, that kind of took away his reason for being there.
Yeah, it does. I can for sure see that. As Christian put it, they teased us. Yes, 100%. They teased us, and it is what it is. So while we're talking about the Obscurial, and while I have this picture up of Credence, I don't know why I thought that once he had the wand, he would be able to like kind of wield his powers, but I guess the Obscurus is still very much a part of him, and we saw that play out when he was trying to duel Dumbledore. And let me just say, that whole sequence was bomb.
It was amazing. Like, I heard, because I watched the premiere, and but I was like closely watching all of the creators and stuff like that. They said that they were how everybody loved the battle in Order of the Phoenix. Granted, a lot of people didn't like the movie Order of the Phoenix, but they liked that battle with Dumbledore and Grindelwald in the Ministry of Magic. That battle was amazing. It was intense. Everybody loved it. They said that they were trying to make this even better. They outright said it. They like, we're going to like everyone like think Order of the Phoenix, but like cranked up to 11. Like that's how we want all the battles to look.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I loved that.
And Christian, I feel like you and I are on the same wavelength. It's crazy because I literally have a note here because I have Easter eggs to share with y'all that with the Deluminator, because again, with the Deluminator being used, it's Dumbledore's invention. So we don't know a whole heck of a lot about it other than the fact that in the books, it's been known as like the putter outer, like with the light. It's given to Ron, you know, it helped Ron navigate his way back to the tree, you know, to Harry and Hermione. But we still don't know a whole heck of a lot about the Deluminator. But yes, this whole sequence gave me Doctor Strange vibes, specifically with the mirror dimension. That it seems like everyone who was outside of that plane was not impacted by any means of what was going on between Credence and Albus, which was so strange. Yes, exactly. And so it was I agree in that it was completely epic. I was so excited to see like Dumbledore in action, and you know, you could just see how, you know, Credence again also wants to cause harm, but Dumbledore doesn't, and he's trying to talk him down. And even with, we don't know for sure if this is Fawkes. I'm pretty sure it is Fawkes the Phoenix, but the Phoenix comes at this point, the Phoenix just comes down and is you know, trying to fan the Obscurus away from Credence. I think to allow Albus to explain to Credence without having some negative influence. You know, you've been lied to, but you are a Dumbledore. Like you have the same blood as me. It's just we didn't know about you. Like I promise you, we did not know anything about you.
Yeah.
And I think that was a crucial moment as well for Credence, because obviously he would later turn heel on Grindelwald and Dutan. But yeah, that whole battle scene or dueling scene, I don't know why I keep calling it battle, was really cool. And just again, Dumbledore in action was really cool.
Yeah, because I was one of those people who loved seeing that duel in Order of the Phoenix between Dumbledore and Voldemort. Loved it. So seeing a non-Elder Wand holding Dumbledore battle, I was like, oh, I gotta see this. And I felt very much like with the Obscurus, like Credence as the Obscurial and Dumbledore is very much just, you know, like immovable object, like unstoppable force. Like it was very much like that. Like you know, we have the Obscurial who's just like lashing and hitting again and again and again, and Dumbledore is just kind of like either evading or standing his ground and just being like taking it. And I thought that was very interesting, like how it was a great battle. I loved it.
For sure. I think it was also necessary too, because obviously Grindelwald is using Credence for his Obscurus, and because he can't move on Dumbledore himself, he's got to, you know, find other means. And, you know, obviously Credence can cause damage for sure. I kind of initially thought like, well, okay, if he's got the wand now, he can wield his power. Why does he still have the Obscurus? But you know what? It is what it is. My question on this too, because obviously we know that Credence is the illegitimate son to Aberforth, and he's an Obscurial. Obscurial, yeah. And Ariana was an Obscurial, as confirmed by Albus. Could that mean that it just runs in the Dumbledore family?
I think if it does, it's not that Obscurials run in the family, it's that prolonged living Obscurials live in the family. Like, I think that's a distinction to make, because we do know that they die fairly young. Credence obviously surpassed that. Ariana was, granted, she did die young, but it wasn't as young as the age bracket we were given in the first movie.
Right.
She still lived a lot longer than expected. So I don't think necessarily that and this could just be like, this could just be a mark of the Dumbledore as a family power, like their abilities, that their obscurals from this family are able to live longer, survive longer. But
it's curious for sure, because I mean, they're all half-bloods, with the exception of Dumbledore's father. I think he perhaps was a pureblood, but he married a Muggle. And thus the children are half-bloods. And Credence, we're not sure about the status of his mother. If I mean, she lived in the Hollow, but we don't know.
I wanted a name.
Yeah, I wanted a name. I wanted to know if she had magical qualities or not. But you know, at this point, it doesn't really matter. But I was just curious about, okay, we have 2 obscurials in the Dumbledore family. Like, this is something hereditary, or what's going on there?
And I wouldn't say it's hereditary. I would say it's a predisposed to it.
Okay.
Maybe it could be a familiar trait. It could be like something that is passed down, that they are just more likely to internalize their magic, which could be a thing. And so that could be hereditary. And when circumstances and hereditary meet, like somebody can have like a familial tendency to have an addictive personality, but unless you introduce them to something like drugs or alcohol or something that is highly addictive, they are going to get addicted to those things. Like, it's I think maybe all of the Dumbledores could be predisposed to having inward drawn magic, but only in cases like how Credence was, put into a anti-wizarding family as an adoption, and how we know Ariana was tormented by those boys, traumatized. So
she was kept a secret, basically.
Yeah, those two things were the kind of triggers to make them into the obscuro. Like, they're just more likely to get it.
It seems so. And again, this is where I'd say the Fantastic Beasts franchise needs to separate from this obvious Dumbledore storyline and, continue that way. But going back to talking about Fantastic Beasts, we had a question submitted about what did we think about the Qilin being a crucial part in the ICW elections. And the fact that I feel like we've deviated away from Fantastic Beasts in these movies. The fact that there is a Fantastic Beast that's central to the elections is great. It's kind of needed at this point, but it brings back that quality, where it should be focusing on Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
And on that note as well, the question follows with, how did Grindelwald give the Qilin to the ICW? If that is a plot hole, and I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
We have already seen that Grindelwald has corrupted the German ministry, ministers in his back pocket, also the ICW, or the what was his Supreme Mugwump, Vogel. He's clearly in Gellert's pocket, and so I mean, they're going to do whatever it takes in order to make sure that Grindelwald is, quote unquote, the legit candidate. But having, bewitched the Qilin, and performing necromancy, that's like one of the more darker aspects of the dark arts.
I have things to say about the necromancy, but I'll leave that for now.
Go ahead. Go ahead about that.
I did not like it at all. Because we've been told so many times that necromancy can't be a thing in the wizarding world, or that bringing anything back is just not a thing. Like, that's not a magic we can do. I mean, just call the genie here and just be like, I can't bring people back from the dead. Like, it's just, I just can't do it. I don't like doing it, and I didn't like it, and also I feel like that kind of cheapens Voldemort's entire life. Well, second life. I feel like because that was his goal all along, was to live forever. And it's just like, okay, well, if necromancy was a thing in the wizarding world, it's right there. I feel like it cheapened Voldemort by making necromancy a thing.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, like, considering where Gellert came from, and obviously he's incredibly powerful. He got kicked out of Durmstrang because he did some shady things. And I'm sure he just found any and everything to make him all powerful. And if he had the ability to perform necromancy, I mean, that just made him that much more powerful, obviously.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he can do necromancy. I'm just more of a plot-wise thing, didn't enjoy it.
I agree with that. And Christian made it a point. He's like, it's more, with the Qilin being central, it's more like fantastic. Okay, so I misread this. Okay, so this series is more like Fantastic Dumbledore. As I said last live, they should have had their own series for the storyline, which would have been perfect to merge and bring in the characters from Fantastic Beasts into the Dumbledore series, and it would have been epic. That would have been really cool. So moving on, because we're at an hour 41. I want to ask you quickly, Amber. Did you think that this movie wrapped up loose ends?
Yes. I feel like, no. Okay. I don't think we all are going to like how they wrapped up the loose ends. But I think they made a valiant attempt. I think that this could be the last one if they do choose, because I know that they're waiting to see how this one does before they decide to green light 4 and 5. But I would like, if this is the end, that's kind of it. Like, that's all we're going to have to get. And but I feel like also a lot of things did falter because of that. There's a lot of things that they could have done in a better way, but they rushed it to get an answer, or they gave us a kind of weird response or kind of weird thing just to give us something. And it's like, no, just take your time. Like, patience is a virtue for a reason. Like, I think if this is going to be the last movie, they did. But whether they did it effectively,
I don't think they did. I think everything happened too fast, and it doesn't give you enough like breathing room. And I relate it to the final season of Game of Thrones, for those of you who watched Game of Thrones all the way through and then got to season 8, and it was, definitely, I don't know, like 4 episodes shorter than what it should have been. And yes, it was entirely a mess. I still can't just believe that's anyway. I'm going on a tangent. I feel like if they have to end it here, they have to end it here. Obviously, there's nothing that can be done about that. I don't think that they tie the loose ends well, because there's some lines that were said towards the very end that made me think they could leave it open for a sequel. And one of those lines being after this duel between Gellert and Albus. Hey Chantel, hey, hello, Darkest Raven Designs. Chantel, she's all the way from Australia. Thank you so much for popping in here. We've been discussing spoilers. We've been discussing everything about Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore, and we're kind of getting towards the end of like the actual movie, but then we've got some other fun things to talk about. So, but thank you so much for joining. Chantel is a phenomenal artist. And she's actually doing, like, I can't remember what the scale size is, but she's basically making her own Ravenclaw common room. I've been following her tutorials and it looks sick. It looks so good. So good. So yeah, it's been great. So yeah.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah. So oh hey Dawson. Hey, thanks for joining.
Oh,
Fell asleep but
hey.
now awake. Hey, well, yes, this movie. I know you've got some feelings towards this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, okay, so it's 12th scale. Chantel, that's cool. Yeah, it's really cool. I encourage everyone to go check it out. Check out her channel. She does some really cool, like she's doing a series of Matchbox designs, but they're like different not scenes. What do you call it? Different buildings from the world of Harry Potter. It's really cool. Super cool. Anyway, so yeah, thank you again for joining us. Please weigh in on what you thought about this movie. We're actually asking the question of did this movie do enough to wrap loose ends if this is going to be the last movie? I know Dawson's got some opinions about that. Definitely love to hear everyone's opinions here. I currently stand that they did not.
Yeah.
And I was just about to say, sorry, Amber.
No.
I was just about to say that there were some lines that were said towards the end of the movie that made me think like they could leave it open for a sequel. One of those lines is at the very end that Theseus goes up to Dumbledore saying, Albus, promise me that you're going to go after him and stop him. And Dumbledore like kind of nods. So that to me is like a way of saying like, okay, we're not done. Like this is not the end all be all. Gellert, retreated, whatever, but like he's now alone. It doesn't appear that maybe he's got the legion that he once had. Who knows? He'll just gain new followers. That's who he is. But the fact
some
that
of them, are ride or die, like Vinda and things like that. So
yeah, exactly. And then the second line that I'm referring to is when Newt and Dumbledore are talking in New York just before Jacob and Queenie's wedding, and Albus is all like, thank you. I couldn't have done this without you. And as Newt's walking away, he stops and he says, if you asked me to do this again, he goes, I would do it all over again. So again, that to me kind of reads like there's still more to come, and Newt's committed to helping Albus and that kind of thing. So I think there's that possibility. But as you mentioned earlier, Amber, the fact that this all kind of depends on how this movie does. It has not been well received really thus far, but opening weekend still not, done, of course. And as of February 2022, there has not been a fourth script written. So there's a lot going on, but let me catch up on the chat real quick, guys. Dawson does not think that the loose ends were tied. That's a big reason why he hates the film. Hate is a very strong word. So Michael says, no, it did not. I'm putting it into the universe. There will be more movies. Originally, there's supposed to be 5. So we're at number 3. We'll see. I definitely would love to see more movies.
I would too.
Chantel says, well, where to start? Tina was mostly not available for the movie, and that was a little disappointing, but believable because of her new job and them being in Berlin. We did talk about that earlier, Chantel, but just like quick summary, a lot of it had to do with the actress speaking out against JKR's openly public comments about trans people. And because the movie was set back a year due to COVID, JKR went back to rewrite the script, and I'm thinking most likely reduced the role of Tina Goldstein. But I agree. I would have loved to have seen more Tina.
Same here.
Yeah, I mean, just to see her and Newt together. I want to see her.
Because we know
I want to see them flourish.
We know they get married, so it's just kind of like at this current point, they seem like acquaintances, and I want to see they're acquaintances that have crushes on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like
for sure.
I
like just how Newt talks about her. He's like, oh,
it's
really
cute.
Sweet. It's really sweet.
But I want to see more because they end up having a life together and children together. I need to see where that foundation is because right now a crush isn't going to cut it.
Yeah. Chantel also says, I would love to see more scenes with Albus and Aberforth, as those two actors together are just chef's kiss. I agree.
I do too.
I agree. I even how McGonagall kind of like got after Aberforth, and he's like, apologies for calling you a, a whatever he said, a sod. I'm not from the UK. I don't know quite what that means. I'm pretty sure it's not a nice thing. But yeah, Richard Coyle as a Aberforth was really great. I think he did a great job in that role. What does Dotson have to say? Also, can someone explain what the secrets of Dumbledore are? Because I didn't see any. Oof, I need to have a discussion about this film. Well, you were invited to take part in this live stream, sir. So, that's on you. But secrets, I don't think it's solely about Albus Dumbledore. It's more of the Dumbledore family. We're learning the secret that
Aurelius
Aberforth, had an illegitimate son that no one knew about. We've known about Ariana being an obscurial, but now it's like confirmed. It's now officially canon. So that's like another secret that had to be revealed within the world. And then just also the secret that Albus was in love with Gellert Grindelwald. I don't think that was, again, publicly known within the world of Harry Potter. We've just known it because we're fans, obviously. So
well, I have a quick thing though, because from how the comments, how you guys were saying that it's like a poorly chosen title. I don't entirely agree, because that's what JK liked to do in the books. Like, Order of the Phoenix isn't really about the Order of the Phoenix, it's about Dumbledore's army. Prisoner of Azkaban isn't entirely about Prisoner of Azkaban, it's about Peter Pettigrew. And like, she does that. Almost all of the titles are about that. And it's they not really red herrings, but they make you think that it's something else. Yeah. And that's one of the huge things about it. And it's just the Order of the Phoenix connection is mostly where I come from this. Same thing with Crimes of Grindelwald. Do we see him commit actually any really real crimes? Because everyone else was killing around him. He wasn't really doing the killing. He was just calling it. Like, we didn't. So that's what they did. It's just the Crimes of Grindelwald are the fact of what he's doing. It's more of a metaphor. Same thing with the Secrets of Dumbledore. I think it's more of in that aspect.
Yeah.
It's a way it's a way to kind of distract you from the bigger picture, but still kind of make a reference.
Sure,
like,
sure.
Order of the Phoenix is about Dumbledore's army, not entirely about the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah. No, and I left this comment up here from Christian. The secret was the vow and the love between Dumbledore and Gellert. And I can get behind that too, just after what you've explained about kind of like the misdirection of the titles. I think a lot of people, and this is my personal opinion, I think a lot of people have gone into this movie not wanting to like it for various reasons. That could be because of the recasting of Grindelwald. That could be the fact that Tina is not really in this movie, or the fact that it's not like as magical as Hogwarts is. And we've already discussed this, that this is not really, this is a more mature theme. This isn't a children's book anymore. This is something completely different. Yeah. So yeah, and Chantel, listen, we said it out here. We're not here to like change anyone's opinions about this movie. Like, you are welcome to share your opinion. No one's going to come at you. No one's going to whatever. And we've had this discussion too. A lot of people think that Mads is a better actor overall than Johnny. And she says she doesn't have anything against Johnny, but she thinks that Mads stepped into his footsteps flawlessly. There you go. A lot of people feel the same. I don't necessarily feel that way, but it is what it is.
I do. But that's also because I'm kind of in love with Grindelwald, and that's honestly all I've been looking at ever since you had this photo on the screen.
Yeah. But, oh my gosh, calm down. Down, girl.
I love this photo. Like, just the look of the photo with the wand and the elder wands there. And like, I love the imagery of this. This looks like a Baroque painting. Sure. I love it.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I love it. Like,
Dawson, Aberforth, a horrible father. Is he a horrible father if he didn't know and it was just based on rumors? I mean, I don't know. We weren't there. We don't know the full story.
Yeah, we don't know. And also, I think too, if you combine the titles with that overall plot of it's about the love and the vow that was broken. Like, I think the titles fit in that aspect because the crimes of Grindelwald was the crime that he abandoned Dumbledore. He left him. He was just like, okay, well, you don't want to do my thing. I'm going to do my thing without you. And that obviously hurt Dumbledore, but also the death of his sister. You know, they split places. These are the crimes of Grindelwald. While the secrets of Dumbledore is that, yeah, he still loves him, even though he did all of these bad things. Like, there's that's the crimes of Grindelwald and the secrets of Dumbledore. I think together it matches.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And Christian said it well. Everyone's opinion is valid. That's why it's an opinion, not facts. Amen to that, brother. Yes. Love Johnny, but Mads killed it. Hey, you know, Mads is a great actor. Don't get me wrong. I love Mads. I absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Also, Mads' accent is on point. Gellert Grindelwald would have the accent that he has. That's true. And this is cool because of the fact that like Mads is originally from Denmark. And
he's from Hungary.
And Gellert is from Hungary. So yeah, you know, that's cool. I like it. Annette says, and where their hands are in the photo. Yeah, you know, they feel each other's heartbeat. And you know, if that could have symbolized the fact that like they're human, you know, they I think they still obviously care for one another in some sort of twisted fashion. And I say twisted fashion on like Gellert's part. But the fact that when he yells out to Dumbledore, like, who's going to love you now? It's almost like if you're in an abusive relationship and your significant other who's trying to manipulate you and tries to make you believe that no one's going to love you other than me. That's why you need to stay with me. That's kind of what I got from that when he yelled out that comment. It just wasn't obviously not a nice thing to just say. Yeah, but Dumbledore walking away and he's like, no, you're alone. Like bitch, bye.
Yeah, like I think it's so interesting to see how they're dynamic, but it's also so toxic. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away from it. That's why it's so intriguing. And I like during like this battle was intense. My eyes were glued to the screen when this happened. This little clip with their hands over their hearts and stuff, like each other's hearts, and the wands pointed at each other. I like audibly gasped. I'm just like, because like I like this. It was intense.
Yeah, exactly.
It was emotionally charged.
You're not the only one. Michael here is like, I can love Dumbledore. I volunteer as tribute. Listen, go on with your bad self. I
agree. And I like Dumbledore in this, but overall, and this is entirely my opinion, guys, I don't really like Dumbledore in Harry Potter. I don't like him. I don't.
I like the Richard Harris version of Dumbledore.
It's not even the actors. I just don't really care for him as a character. I don't like how he goes about things. I don't like the manipulation and the lies and the evasions that he does, because I feel like it was very, 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 at some points unethical and some points ridiculous. Like, I that there's some reasons why you can't tell Harry that he's like a lamb for slaughter, but I get why you can't do that.
Yeah. But that's Dumbledore's MO. Like
he wouldn't have made those choices.
Well, but not just that, but like even with this mission, like he didn't tell everyone what everyone else was doing. Like, and that's just how he rolls. Yeah,
I know that's how he rolls, but I don't like him. It's
oh yeah, for sure. Me. No, I get that.
That's me.
I get that. Yeah.
But I do have a crush on Jude Law, so I can't really like I'm confused.
Yeah. No, I get that. Real quick, Dawson, the plot of this film was to stop a rigged election, and that was basically it. Fantastic Beasts and the magical politics. He did know dude was talking to him in a mirror. Yeah, but he knew like later on is what I'm saying. He didn't know from like the get-go in sense of being father to Credence. And also plot hole, how the heck did they talk to each other if he supposedly didn't know? Well, I kind of just answered that. And actually we did talk about that earlier about how they were connected through the mirror, how they would have found each other out unless it's like Gellert who kind of put them in touch with one another, but we don't have that answer. Obviously, that's one of the major, that's one of the major plot holes in this movie. So, I mean, it is what it is. it's not a perfect movie. I enjoyed it for what it was. I found it humorous. I found it entertaining. I found it insightful. And we touched on this earlier again. Like, politics is definitely a part of life, and I think it was important to establish that Geller really wanted to be in power, and he was going to do whatever it takes to be in power. Corrupt, a ministry, the German Ministry of Magic, and to obviously show the difference between him and Dumbledore. Dumbledore did not want to be this say it again, supreme mugwump,
Supreme
mugwump,
mugwump.
supreme. I'm like super mugwump.
Supreme
wow.
mugwump.
Fake fan. No, Dumbledore did not want to be supreme mugwump. He never wanted to be British Minister of Magic. He never wanted to have that power anymore. Like, he left that, behind.
He did when he was younger. He did. He wanted, like, because Dumbledore has had every single school award ever possible to achieve by a student in Hogwarts.
Mm-hmm.
He liked that. That's what he wanted. He wanted to have all of those titles. He wanted to do that. It was because of his interactions and history with Grindelwald and seeing how dark that path was taking him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he changed his MO and was like, okay, I do not want this. I know I can't do this. That's why he didn't accept the be Minister of Magic, because he's like, I don't like who I would become if I did that.
For sure. Just catching up on chat here. Chantel says, fave Dumbledore is Gambon, hands down. I like Michael Gambon. He definitely brought a different take to Dumbledore. It's just, and Dumbledore as a character in general was kind of a jerk.
I have thoughts on Dumbledore, but I'm not.
We would have to do a separate live to talk about Dumbledore and all his flaws. Can't do it here. Dumbledore, by Harry's time, had so many losses to those he loved and followed him. He was trying to protect people any way he could. Yeah, that's for sure.
But honesty is a protection.
Oh, for sure.
And clarity.
Yeah. Can we please give some love to Jacob? He's such a lovable character.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Go ahead, Amber. Go ahead.
I will love him forever. And we already talked about the Snakewood wand being a way to show that he is important, he is vital. And I liked all of the comments that were made to him, about him, to him throughout the film, like saying that he has a pure heart. He is important. Like Dumbledore and other wizards being like, no, you are important here. Like, yeah, I know, because he kept saying it, like, I'm just a normal guy. I don't have magic. I'm not important. He kept saying that, but to have everyone else around him be like, no, you are special. No, you are important. No, we do need you. I love that.
Yeah.
I
mean, you don't have to be from a magical family to have some sort of importance or some role to play in this world. And I think when Dumbledore had said to Newt right before Jacob and Queenie are about to get married, he said that this is a historic day, because in the US, wizards could not marry no mages. And so this was like a really big thing, obviously.
Yes.
And I forgot the point that I was trying to make with all this, but for Jacob to play a part in this whole thing.
He did change the wizarding world, whether
exactly
he feels he did or not.
Yeah, on the U.S. side, it was already accepted in the European side, at least from our understanding. But yeah, no, Jacob is fantastic. I love everything about Jacob. I think Shan, what's with you people and being on the same wavelength as me? My gosh, were you like legilimens? Whatever. It's just beautiful that Jacob stays true to himself and he is accepted in the wizarding world. It's wonderful. Yes, for sure. And yes, Chantel, cause friendship. Yes, absolutely.
And I agree with you guys. I was a little disappointed that it wasn't a real wand too.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'll put that up here.
I'm
kind of disappointed. Go ahead.
I was a little disappointed, but it makes sense if they're going to keep him a normal muggle. Because
I don't think they're gonna make him a squib or anything.
No, I think it'd be too late for that.
Yeah,
this movie would have been the last time they could have done it, and I feel like they're keeping him a muggle. I like this.
I can get down with that because again, you don't have to have magical background to make an impact in the world. And Christian says it, I think he says it well. The movie is, to me, is like outer space. We might not understand what is out there or how it works or why it is, but the view is a beauty for sure. For sure.
I agree.
For sure. I'm trying to like catch up on stuff right here. Sorry, real fast. Dawson just dropped a comment. Jacob and Queenie getting married was very out of the left field for this film. She literally just went bad and then back to good in a matter of a film, made the whole character plot pointless. So I relate that to like that of Game of Thrones. I've already made the reference once about like with season 8, and Dawson, you know what I'm talking about with season 8. You didn't have enough breathing room or time to breathe, you know, the things that were happening. Daenerys went from like pursuing the Iron Throne to like a really pissed off woman who was going to burn the whole place down and be Queen of the Ashes. But here we go. I relate the same thing because we talked about this earlier, Amber and I, that Lally had made it a point to tell Jacob that, you know, a little over a year ago, all these events happened. So all these 3 movies have happened within a course of a little over a year in their time frame. So you don't have enough time to like really accept that Queenie went bad, if you will, and then she comes back, she's good and everything's okay. But I also question too, sorry, real quick.
No, go, finish.
I also question too, like maybe she could have regretted leaving Jacob as soon as she got to Nurmengard. I don't know. But obviously she still felt something towards Jacob because she tried to protect him even at different points in the movie.
Yes. I agree. Like I personally think if she didn't immediately regret it, I think she grew to over the however long she was with, because yes, he did promise her. She was manipulated. He did say, he's like, hey, you want to marry this guy, I want to do this. Like he was sweet talking her. He promised her what she wanted to hear so he could get her. He didn't care really what she wanted, and we knew that from the get-go. So when she started seeing, because she can read people's minds, so the longer she spent in his presence, she started to see how he actually viewed muggles. And she's like, oh, I don't agree with that. Oh, I'm in love with a muggle. Oh, I don't agree with that. Okay, maybe I don't want to be on your side. That must have happened almost immediately, because how often is Grindelwald thinking those kind of bigoted thoughts? So I think it would have been pretty soon after, because we got to remember, guys, she's always in your mind. So she's probably knew that he was lying to her very early on. And then there's a specific moment, I remember seeing this in the movie, when he's making his speech and he says that they're going to rule over the muggles and start a war on muggles. It cuts to Queenie's face and she's like clearly taken aback and upset about it.
She's like, I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin.
I
am not surprised by her.
Going back. Yeah. I agree that the time frames are very odd with this series, and Amber and I talked about this earlier as well, about how from the first movie, which happened in 1926, to the second movie, which was 6 months later, but that led to being 1927. You know, that's where these 2 movies were. It would have made sense if this movie was set 5 years later or some time later. That way you're getting slowly closer to that 1945 deadline of Dumbledore and Grindelwald's duel. But again, not knowing how well this movie is going to do, if they're going to continue with making another movie, let alone, you know, a total of 5, you know, we're not sure. So but yeah, the time framing and all this is just very, very odd. So Queenie went to Gellert's side initially. She kept seeing his bad side with Credence, and then she started to change alliances. And that's very true, because she was like confiding in Credence that like, hey, I don't tell him everything. You know? So, and I also think that like with Yusuf, when he came to talk to Gellert, I feel like when Queenie was reading his mind, that Yusuf might have said something in his mind like, hey, don't tell him what's really happening. Like,
definitely.
Like, I'm your way out. Or she maybe kind of guessed like he would be her way out.
Yeah.
You know, but
definitely. Because she even said, I don't have a way out. So she definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Next film, Dumbledore going to have a beard down to his knees, which is with as much time as going to have to pass. Oh my gosh. Yeah, seriously. Also, when did it become okay for him to switch from 3-piece suits to like the robes? Like, that's not cool. He looks fantastic in these 3-piece suits, Dumbledore.
He does.
Ugh.
But also like flowing robes and like ridiculous wizard garments are kind of like my jam. So I'm like, yeah, I can see it. Like I would go back and forth between a 3-piece suit and just like comfy wizard robes in a heartbeat. In a day, I could go back. But
listen, I'm here for the 1920s clothing. I love that era. It's such a very interesting era altogether. And I'm just like, he just looks so good.
Lolly's outfits, I was dying. I was obsessed with.
Oh, she had great outfits. Her gold dress.
Gold dress and like the little gold ribbon through her hair. Beautiful.
Yeah,
cool.
Dawson says Dumble butt. I'm more like Dumble damn.
I agree with Dawson though. I mean, but that's also because I don't like Dumbledore.
Yeah. But Jude Law as Dumbledore is like Dumble damn. Like I like looking at him. Anyway,
that's where I'm conflicted. I like Jude Law, but I don't like the Dumbledore.
Yeah. So one last major discussion topic we're going to talk about, and then I'm going to share some Easter eggs with y'all. The last topic. Do you think, Amber, Ezra Miller will continue to be part of the franchise given recent run-ins with the law?
No. Because they set it up that he's going to die. They set it up.
Throughout this whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout this whole movie.
They set it up that Credence is going to die. I think granted, he didn't actually die yet, so he's dying, but we know that. So I think that they left it open intentionally so that they could kill him off if things go even more south than they already are. And if by some very, very weird reason, if things were to suddenly be better about it, then they could just shoehorn him back in, like, oh, well, he's magically better now. But
yeah, Warner Brothers has some concerns for sure, because not only is Ezra part of the Fantastic Beasts series, Ezra's also part of the Flash, right? Part of the DCEU universe. That was slightly redundant, but there's definite concerns, and I kind of wanted to compare with what happened to Johnny Depp after he lost his case in court, that WB said, hey, we got to part ways. And Johnny like graciously accepted it. Like he understood where they're coming from. Like I remember reading that note, and he's like, yeah, I understand their decision and what have you, but understand I am going to fight this. And that's obviously what's happening right now, what's going on in, I believe it's Virginia. But with Ezra's actively getting in trouble these past few years, and most recently in Hawaii for like the whole month of Hawaii. So I feel like Ezra really needs to be held accountable for their actions. And if I slip up and say his or him, y'all don't come at me. I recently learned that his pronouns, see, there I went. I recently learned that Ezra's pronouns are they, them. So like,
oh, okay.
Yeah, so learning that and trying to remember that is slightly difficult for me. I'm not trying to, totally disregard the pronouns or anything like that. Just forgive me if I slip. So with Ezra,
I didn't know that, but it's good to know for
the more you know. Ding, ding, ding. But with Ezra, I feel like active, behavior needs to be held accountable. You can't reward bad behavior, no matter if you're a celebrity or not.
And I agree with you. There is complete differences in their conduct. Like Johnny took it graciously, was like, hey, I'm doing this. I understand that you do not want this to impact you. I get it. While Ezra has been not withholding their actions and has not been showing any proper decorum, that like there's no effort to not have this happen. So I I agree. I think it's I agree.
I think this comment sums it up. Ezra's troubled and needs to seek help.
Yes.
And you know, to each their own. Hopefully Ezra will find help or be given help.
Hopefully.
But Ezra's future with this franchise, no idea. I know a lot of people also don't care for Ezra's version of the Flash. I'm not really a DCEU fan, so I honestly could care less. I'm more of a Marvel person, but like whatever. Yeah, so who knows?
I wouldn't be surprised if they had him, if they allowed, I guess, Credence to die.
Yeah, so it's possible. I mean, there was like not, I don't know if you can call it a cliffhanger. Even he went, you know, Credence goes home with Aberforth, and to die, or
pretty much,
you know, whatever. So I do agree that at this point, Credence character is pointless. Definitely took a back seat to this film, but okay, y'all. So we are going to start wrapping up shortly, but I did want to share some Easter eggs with y'all that y'all may have noticed, maybe have not. But I think it's just some fun stuff to add, you know, to the very end, because we've talked about a lot of heavy things. And I just want to say thank y'all to everyone who's, you know, joined us in this chat and weighed in and shared your thoughts, your comments, and what have you. We've gone on over 2 hours and 15 minutes. This has been a long one. This is almost as long as the movie. Oh my God. Whoops. But anyway, also don't forget to subscribe to OllivAmber's Wands channel. Her link is in the description box down below. Please give this video a like. We'd really appreciate it. And it's been fun just chatting with Amber, chatting with y'all here. So Amber, are you ready for some Easter eggs?
Yes.
It's very appropriate since tomorrow is Easter.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness. All right. So the very first thing that I wanted to share was, and I'm going to pull up this picture real fast, was about this creature, which I'm not going to try to pronounce properly. I know I have it listed.
Snallygaster?
Okay, she said it. Very good. Reminds me of the whale stork, which is a real creature that we have here at my local zoo. Scares the crap out of me every time I see it.
Can't deal with that thing.
No, the beak is like
in my nightmares.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is kind of a nod to Fox rescuing Harry and company in Chamber of Secrets. You know, this creature came out of Newt's case. He or she is rescuing Newt, the Qilin, and the case, of course, that contains all these fantastic creatures. Also, we've got, and I thought I have a picture of it, but the callback to the wanted posters of Gellert Grindelwald is obviously very similar to that of Sirius Black. The train to Berlin kind of gave off that vibe of like, oh, this is like Hogwarts Express, right? Even the music was kind of similar, I think. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. Ezra, like JK, will have to reap what was sown. I agree. Thank you, Christian. I'm glad you've enjoyed it. I'm very much enjoyed having you here, you know, sharing your comments. You and Michael, of course. It's always fun when you guys are a part of a live stream. But like, I need to edit. Listen, you had all week, sir. All week to edit for tomorrow's drop. My goodness. Oh my God, you're funny. Easter eggs. I call these remember berries to make you happy about all of the terrible writing. What? I'm so confused. Okay, I'm done now. Love you all. Okay, love you too. Bye.
Bye.
I'm so confused here. Jonker's here. Wow. That's
Hello.
Cool. Amber has talked about you quite a bit.
I have.
So we're going over Easter eggs right now because we're about to wrap up. So thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it.
And for everybody else who's watching too, my most recent episode that I posted earlier today, I based my entire thesis about Gellert Grindelwald's wand based off of Junker's summary of it because it was perfect. It was brilliant. I loved it. So thank you, friend.
Yes, it was extremely well thought out video. I really enjoyed it. I learned. I always learn a lot when I watch Amber's videos on lore. So thank you so much for like helping her with all that. Yes. Back to the Easter eggs.
Yes, Easter.
Obviously, the line "do what is right, not what is easy" is very much a callback to Dumbledore paraphrasing it to Harry in Goblet of Fire. We talked about this in the trailer, Amber, about Gellert Grindelwald's symbol with the Deathly Hallows, incorporated into it. That really doesn't need a whole lot of explanation. The Monster Book of Monsters that popped out of Lally's suitcase coming through to take down the bad guys. I loved it. Loved it. It was totally good.
Well, also coming out of Theseus's was the Quidditch equipment, and he played Quidditch in school. So I thought that was
cool. And did you notice that the music that was used for that whole sequence was actually music used in the Quidditch game in Chamber of Secrets?
Yes,
which I loved. I love the incorporation of the two scores into this movie. I really did enjoy it. So, well, thank you so much, Jonker, for being here, and it's so awesome to hear about this new movie and love the video as well. It's a pleasure. Aw, that's so sweet. Yes, we've got eggs for all y'all. Dawson's like, oh, Dawson has not been drinking. He's just mad about this film. It's okay. It's just a film. The line "always" from Aberforth to Credence again does not need any explanation whatsoever. Nope. That one got me. I was like, oh hell, that one that one got me. That one really got me. Yes, Chantel, we can say that the music was on point for this entire movie. Absolutely.
Same thing with like the battle, like the final battle with Dumbledore and Grindelwald, and like how earlier it was, I forget who, said their battle was like a tango, and the music that was with it.
Oh yeah, it was phenomenal. It was perfect. Chef's kiss.
Yes.
Dumbledore's pocket watch is a callback to the very first Harry Potter book, Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, if you do not reside in the United States. The line is a very odd watch. It had 12 hands, but no numbers. Instead, little planets were moving around the edge. I think much like with the Deluminator, we don't know a lot about this pocket watch other than the fact that it doesn't tell time in the conventional way, because obviously it's how like Dumbledore was tracking Credence, I guess you could say. So that was cool. Yeah. Did you pick up on the prophecy orbs during that whole duel in Bhutan?
Oh yeah, I definitely saw that. I'm like, are those? They are, and like it was great. Ooh, hello. Punched my laptop. Sorry.
Don't take it out on your laptop. That's so funny. Like, remember this cool stuff you loved about HP? Look, we put it in this film to make you happy. So the script was so bad. Oh my goodness, you're funny. You're funny. I listen to the soundtrack of the movies all the time, and they're just perfect mix of composers there. I agree. That's how I got through graduate school, just listening to like soundtracks, just strictly instrumental stuff. Like that's how I got through grad school, to think.
I don't blame you. And I feel like they did well seaming them into each other.
For sure. The brick passageways, obviously we know that's how you get into Diagon Alley from the Leaky Cauldron, and Jacob got his first taste of that, and I don't think he enjoyed it. I really don't think that he enjoyed that whole walking through bricks kind of thing.
It seemed like it actually left like a literal bad taste in his mouth.
Probably.
Like it was just
probably.
Like the face he made was just nah.
Yeah, for sure. Cockroach clusters / honeydukes. What more do we really need to say? And it's the Slytherin kids who gave that to Jacob. I'm like, why are you giving us a bad rap? Like, why? Why are you doing that?
I actually liked it because it showed that Slytherins aren't evil. They're kids. That's the thing, is that they are children.
Mischievous.
They were just messing with them.
Yeah.
And I mean, he actually liked it. At least it wasn't like a disgusting candy.
Yeah, he did enjoy it. So,
I live in Arizona, guys. I've eaten bugs.
Okay.
Yeah, we have candied bugs here. Like I've had grasshoppers. I've eaten a scorpion. It's a thing.
I got it. I'm Mexican, so we do the Mexican candy, as well. I don't take part in that, but like, ew.
I don't like to, but I have. Like it's
okay, Chantel. If there's anyone who's going to do a miniature Kowalski bakery, it's you, and I would love to see that on your channel one day in the future. I know you're busy with the Ravenclaw Common Room right now, but you need to make this happen. Just saying.
Definitely.
Amber, your final thoughts. Your final thoughts on the movie.
I liked it. I liked it a lot because I liked it better than the second one. I do have some things that I disagree with, which we definitely covered, but I think overall I really enjoyed it. I think having Steve Kloves working on the script with JK definitely helped the 1,000 different little plot bubbles merge. And I liked it because we got to see the wizarding world. Like me and Joker were talking about this a couple days ago. I thought that I liked seeing Hogwarts. Yeah, it's nostalgic. Yes, I'm close to it, and I liked a little reference to the Slytherin boys. But we already lived that. We already saw what being a child and going to Hogwarts is, and being a child and teenager in the wizarding world. I don't want to see that. I want to see what being an adult in the wizarding world is like. I want to see how the actual wizarding world is like, not just Hogwarts and not just the Potters and not just the Weasleys. Yeah, it's fun to have those kind of references, but I don't want that. I want to see the world. And that's much more immersive and meaningful to me. And I feel like I actually finally got that. And I liked it.
I'm not that far off from you with regards to final thoughts. I think it's important to showcase the things that they showcase, like the political aspect of things, because that's the real world does incorporate political aspect of things. Yes. And once again, this is not Harry Potter. This is not a children's book. Obviously, this is going to potentially lay the foundation that would lead to the 1945 duel and the future, what would be the future of the first Wizarding War. So there's far more to see in this world than just Hogwarts and everything that surrounds Hogwarts. And I think, you said it extremely well about you want to see what it's like to be an adult in a wizarding world and that world.
Yes. And and Junker's actually like saying again, like it's just, we get to see what magic is on a day-to-day basis, not only in school. We want to see what the adults do. What we want to see it, everything that we learned, we want to see it utilized. We want to see it actually be important. Like, why do I need to know trigonometry? I don't use trigonometry. But if I was a wizard and I needed to learn these spells, it makes sense. Now I'm actually seeing why these spells are taught in Hogwarts. It makes sense for me. And I think we were talking about it backstage, or I think it was before the stream, that some people didn't like it because it wasn't perfect, it wasn't ideal, but life isn't perfect. No one's story is going to be perfect. And just because, and even if it was made perfect for you, doesn't mean it's perfect for everybody else.
Sure.
So,
for sure.
Like how obviously we all have different opinions of the movie and of everything in life. We're all going to be different, but I liked the movie because, I don't agree with some of it, but I still liked how it was portrayed. I liked how it was done. Yeah. And I can appreciate that because that's life.
For sure. So catching up on the chat real fast before we wrap. Yes. Viva la raza, Christian. Chantel was thinking about doing a Fantastic Beasts, but in miniature. Yes, I need to see the alchemy stat. We've talked about this before, Chantel. I need to see that alchemy stat. And if you want to do your version of Bobetons as well, girl.
Yes.
More power to you.
Show me Bobetons.
Please. Dawson's final thoughts on the movie. 5 out of 10 for him. The franchise could have been wrapped up in 3 films and less messy. There you go. You've got some love from Christian and McDorks, as well as Annette. And Dawson says he feels attacked. Well, sorry. Again, it's not the intention to come at anyone. You know, your opinion is your opinion. We were not coming here to, you know, change anyone's opinion about what they thought of the movie. And hopefully y'all were not trying to do the same with us. You know, it is what it is. You know, we got the movie. This is what it is. There's nothing that's going to change about it. And we just have to like kind of take it for what it is and move on.
Yeah.
So
we're just here to talk about it, guys. That's it.
Yes, Chantel. Yes. Miniature alchemy.
Yes, please.
Or hatching from egg real size. Yes to both. There you go. There you go.
Just give me all the pieces. I want to see little.
I want to see all the little things. Just not the Manticore. No. Okay, guys, we're coming at the 2.5 hour mark, and I once again just want to thank everyone who has joined us throughout this live. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to, of course, discuss this movie. Yes, thank you for joining me as well.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad we were able to make this happen because kind of forgot that it was Easter weekend. So I'm glad, you know, we were able to work our schedules out. But for all of y'all here, once again, please give Amber a follow on her, or subscribe to her channel rather, OllivAmber's Wands. Also, don't forget to follow her on Instagram. That's at OllivAmber's.wands. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. You guys have obviously been part of the chat. You don't necessarily need to leave a comment, but if you do, great. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel as well. And everything, you know, link-wise is in the description box down below. Thank y'all once again for spending part of your day with us. And we will see y'all hopefully soon, because we want to do more hangouts, don't we, Amber?
Oh, definitely. I actually love these little discussions. And I was going to say, if any of
little
you guys
discussions, little. Okay.
Well, we do cover a lot of topics. But what I was going to say, guys, you can talk to us on our Instagram, talk to us on our channels, like on you can comment on videos. We love to talk to you. So not even just in these chats. You don't have to wait for that. Just message me on Instagram or message Brittany. Me and her talk fairly frequently. So just get in on that. We can talk, or if you want to carry on any conversations from today, just shoot us a message.
Please do.
Flew on over there. Send us an owl.
Yeah, if you find something else that's new that we didn't talk about, let's do it. Oh yeah, Christian, I talk a lot too. We all talk a lot. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Good night, Annie, the weird witch.
Good night.
You're adorable. Thank you so much for being here, Chantel. Thank you also so much for taking time out of your day all the way over in Australia. We appreciate it. And no, Christian, you and Michael rock. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Dawson, of course, thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you don't feel attacked. Glad you're having fun chatting on here. And as always, thank y'all once again. Have a great night, morning, afternoon, wherever you are. And we'll see you.
Have a wonderful night.
There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, y'all. We'll see y'all in the next live.
Bye.